Welcome to this intense course on media literacy for students. This is a course that Adamas University, Kolkata and Delhi Metropolitan Education NEDA have launched jointly, and this is a unique initiative of its own kind, wherein two institutions have joined hands to serve a social cause, because we are providing education as part of this course as a CSR activity. And the objective is to create awareness among the youth, particularly the young students, on the issues related to media literacy, and also the associated aspects like the spread of information, which is not in the interest of the society, and which is carrying all such information which is not genuine, which is not correct. And in the age of the digital media, and particularly the way the social media has penetrated in every walk of life, wherein we all use the WhatsApp, we all use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So whenever we are using any such platform, dissemination of information is inviting risk, because we might be forwarding some WhatsApp messages, we might be sharing some posts on the Facebook, and we might also be retweeting some tweets. So in all such cases, we are in fact an instrument of spreading any such information which has not originated at our end, but we are further spreading it or disseminating it without even thinking what are the risks involved. Because whenever we are using any such thing, this means we are in fact endorsing the viewpoint of the person who would have created that piece of information. And we do it without verifying, without checking that that information is correct or not. So, what does it mean? This means the responsibility lies on all the citizens to make sure that before an information is endorsed, before an information is further spread to more number of people, we have to make sure that that information is correct or not. So this we have to think, that is the first thing. Obviously, once we think about this, then we have to find ways and means as to how to ensure. And that is where this whole fact checking comes in. There are a number of websites which help us in this, wherein we can make use of to make sure whether some information is genuine or some information is correct or not. So what is the requirement in today's time? One, that a person has to be media literate. Media literate means one has to know at least the basics about print media, about radio, about television, about digital media, about social media, because that basic knowledge and understanding of all media platforms will help us how to use any media content, how to use content on a particular media platform, and how to take it forward. And then the second important thing is to ensure the veracity of an information which has traveled to us, which has come to us. So these are the two important aspects. So various sessions we planned as part of this intense course. There have been, as per our planning, 12 sessions, and this is today's session is the 10th session in the series, and we will be winding up on Wednesday. As far as all these 12 sessions are concerned, each session is of 1.5 hours, and each session is on a different topic. Like today's session is on social media etiquette and the issues related to this. And each session is being taken by different resource persons. And as far as the resource persons are concerned, these are the faculty members of these two institutions which have launched this program, like Adamas University and Delhi Metropolitan Education. Besides this, we also incorporated one industry expert, Mr. Nimish Kapoor, who is a scientist in Vigyan Prasad and who took in fact the last Thursday's session, which was basically on fact checking. So that is the composition of all the sessions and all. And as far as this whole idea as to how it was mooted and how it was executed, this in fact the whole idea was mooted during the 10-day digital live conference ICANN 3 that was organized by Delhi Metropolitan Education, and Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary, who is the Pro Vice Chancellor of Adamas University. He came out with the idea at the fag end as part of the resolution of the conference that we should try to impart media literacy to the young people. So that is how we joined hands. I also agreed with whatever he was thinking, and since we were on the same page, we decided to launch this program. I am Amrish Saxena. I am Dean in DME Media School, and this is the first launch of this program. And we requested two institutions in Noida, Mayur School, Noida, and Delhi World Public School, Noida Extension, to join hands with us. So most of our participants are in fact the students of these two schools. Besides, few more school students have also joined. So I welcome everybody to this 10th session of Media Literacy Program. And we have started with the school students for the simple reason because we are of the opinion that if these young minds are addressed and they understand all the intricacies of media literacy and further spreading and disseminating of information, so this will go a long way. And when they will further grow up and they will start making use of the social media in a big way, they will not commit an error, and they will even tell their parents, their elders, as to what kind of wrong practices are there, which everybody should be cautious of before using that. So that is in brief my introduction to this whole program. Now I hand it over to Dr. Asha Singh, who is Associate Professor in Adamas University in the School of Media Communication and Fashion. And she is also one of the coordinators of this course. The other coordinator is Ms. Yashasika Yadav, who is Assistant Professor in DME Media School, Delhi Metropolitan Education. So I request Dr. Asha Singh to please take it forward.
Thank you, Professor Saxena. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Okay. So good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you. And I'm really glad that you are here after a vacation weekend because in West Bengal today is Vijayadashmi, though it was celebrated as Vijayadashmi in other parts of the country yesterday. But here in Bengal, students and their parents, they're really engaged in the celebration. Still, some of our students are here. So I really thank them to become part of this program and understanding why media literacy and how media literacy is so important that we have to take out time for such activities and such learning programs. So I'm really, really glad that students are here, and we have 56 students in total. So I thank every student who is participating today. And today is actually a very important day because today's session is on privacy. And privacy concerns are huge in social media as well as all kind of platforms because
I want to interrupt Dr. Asha Singh. But today's session is on social media etiquette. So privacy will be day after.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. I think there was some change in the schedule.
Yeah,
That's why.
some change.
Yeah.
Yeah, some change.
So sorry, because there was a
No problem.
yeah, something. Okay, so yes, today is on social media etiquettes, and that is also a very important topic because social media etiquettes is something all of us are required to learn. There is no escape from etiquettes, and in our daily routine, in our normal lives, we follow etiquettes, and social media we used to consider as something which is normal, which is something which is beyond our social lives, and it is not so much important. We can be casual on social media, but no, we can't really be casual on social media. So I'm really glad that today's session is on social media etiquettes, and especially social media etiquettes is so important, not just as students of media or teachers of media, but also to all of us who are engaging, who are producing and consuming media on a daily basis, for all the citizens. So I hand it over to Mr. Ritik Ghosh to take it forward.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So, a very good evening to everyone over here. In fact, I should say to all the netizens, since our topic of discussion would be in context to the netizens. And without wasting any time, I would straight away dive into today's discussion. So, talking of social media etiquettes, that's the topic for today, social media etiquettes. So, just to give an overview of what social media etiquettes we mean by this term is that it's the social behavior. What we call social behavior now in contemporary times is how you behave on the internet. So, coming to it, netiquette, it's the digital etiquette. So everybody is on digital at the moment. Our entire sort of, in a way, a clone is there on the internet. So we are going to be discussing how, we both, my clone on the internet and me, we should be working in tandem and must maintain a single personality. So what is netiquette as per definition from the internet? Internet, the short form of internet is net, and as we all are very familiar with the term etiquette, is basically combining internet and etiquette together. We coined the term as netiquette. And what happens in our real day-to-day life is like we respect people, we honor or respect the viewpoints of people, we are courteous to the people that we know, and even you know to the people we are interacting with. So all these things, you know they come into play the same way on the internet as well. So it is absolutely very important for us to maintain our behavior in a universal manner, like in real life how we behave, that is what we should carry and perform online also. So if you have to say something or do something in real life, that is the same way you should also interact, behave, or conduct yourself online also. So you should not in real life you're a different person and then online you behave different. That should not be there. So you maintain your personality the same as you maintain it offline as well as online, and thus you establish your credibility. So that is very important. So now I would just dwell into a few points which you can probably also note down and you know implement it in your day-to-day online activities. That is, in many situations, people are not aware that they are typing all in caps, and they just simply type things in caps and message, or maybe you comment on some blog post or in the comment section. So this is very important for you to understand, because like it's all related to communication. So a person, a sender sends a message through a medium to the receiver, and the receiver interprets it. So the sender must understand how the receiver interprets that message. So there should not be any confusion or people misunderstanding the message. So a sender, like we all are senders also in one way whenever we are commenting or writing or sending messages. So it is very important for us to understand those nitty gritties, those aspects, so that the receivers do not misunderstand our message. And this is one very important aspect, that whenever you are typing or sending out messages, please do not type in all caps, because the receiver might think that, oh, the sender is trying to emphasize, or shouting out, or trying to create a very important impact with the message. So it's very important for you to understand that when to type in caps and when not to type in caps. So in general, please avoid typing in caps, because the receiver will not understand what are you, maybe you just wrote it casually, but the receiver might think that you are trying to emphasize on something. So you're trying to create a punch, like an exclamation, with a with whatever message you wrote. So please keep that in mind. Then sarcasm, you see, what happens is, like, the receiver on the internet is not seeing you, or the receiver is just going by the simple words that you have put across in your message. So it is very important for us to always ascertain that receivers don't misunderstand. So sarcasm, please try to avoid all sort of sarcasms. Arguments should be avoided, and try to keep things very simple and to the point whenever you are writing any messages. Even your jokes, the jokes that you put across, that should not be demeaning, or people should not feel offended. You maybe you just put it across as a joke, but the receiver might get offended by such things. So these points are very important for you to understand. Even like doing a WhatsApp message within a group or things like that. You might be part of several WhatsApp groups, you might be part of Facebook groups or forums. So whenever there are so many people, and like the people who don't know you intimately, so with them your behavior should be very formal, and in a manner that they interpret things in a very easy way. There should not be any misunderstandings. So please avoid sarcasm on any forum, any WhatsApp groups, or any Facebook groups, right? So just talk to the point. Then do not abuse in the chat box. So like many people, even on Twitter and all, they start abusing. Why? you know it's not in good taste. So if you don't like something, you can put across your point of view, but do not start abusing and naming, shaming, and stuff like that. So it becomes like trolling. So you troll, you name shame people, you abuse, and things become sour and bitter. Where else, I mean, there is absolutely no need for that. So you can put across your viewpoint, but put it in a very decent manner. So please keep that in mind. Then set a very respectable and respectful tone. So you see, it's a basic courtesy for human beings to respect human beings, right? So in your family, amongst your friends, amongst your peer groups, everyone, like in your general life, you do respect everyone. So why not do it online also? So always set a respectful tone. And I will tell you why all these things are very important. Maybe because now you might think that, oh, how is it going to make a difference? But I'll be coming to that point also, right? So whatever content you are publishing I mean, the message that you are sending across on any of the digital platforms, try to maintain a respectful tone. Even if you are having fun or sharing jokes and all, be respectful, maintain that dignity. Then review what you wrote and try to interpret it objectively. So it is very important. Like writing down is like, you can just write down anything and send it, but what you wrote, you must like read it and reread it twice. Because like if I'm talking to you face to face, maybe I am seeing your reactions also, right? So maybe I speak out something, and then I find that like the other person whom I'm talking to might become uncomfortable. So I will try to make up for that mistake, or the statement that I put across, and I will try to make the other person feel comfortable, right? But now what happens is, maybe you type out something and you just send across the message. You don't know how the other person responded, so you cannot make up for if at all that person felt comfortable or not with your message, or whatever you wrote. So now what happens? And similarly, the other person is also not able to make out whether you put it in a fun manner, jokingly, or you were very serious about it. So like that face-to-face interaction, when we are each one is trying to understand others' body language and react accordingly, that is missing. So all we have on online, whenever we are talking in terms of texts, so we just have the texts to understand and interpret. So please, whenever you are texting, make sure you try to understand other person's point of view, and make sure that that person, through your written content, doesn't misunderstand you or misinterprets you or feels offended or things like that. So it's best, whenever you are writing something text, read it, reread it, make sure that it's very clear and it should not be misunderstood, and then you send it across. Then coming to spamming, like you might have a lot of friends in your groups, Facebook groups, and even like the general groups that you're part of, maybe WhatsApp groups. Half of the people you'll not even know. So now what happens is, maybe you come across something like some piece of content, some information, or maybe some forms to fill, or some places like wherein you can also uh, try to sell something, your political beliefs, your spiritual beliefs, and your personal viewpoints and opinion. So just like because you're part of those groups, just don't keep sending those messages. So for you, okay, fine, that's your viewpoint, your political viewpoint, your spiritual belief, maybe the things that you are interested in. But for others, they don't like it. So I mean, there's no acceptance. So you lose your credibility if you just unnecessarily, just keep sending out things which is not acceptable, or sort of, not much appreciated by others. So what happens is, either they'll throw you out of the group, or they will leave the groups, or else you will lose your credibility in a way that, oh, this person, he's just, he or she is just, putting across any stuff which is like just meaningless for us, or things like that, or trying to impose, or then again those misunderstandings can happen, and then things can go sour to bitter. So please avoid spamming. Drop very all those messages which are actually meaningful, right? Then one more important thing, this is a very important thing, many people, like I know the youngsters, they're always using. So you can encourage others also to be using these emoticons, because many a times, since whenever we are texting and all, our facial expressions, our emotions are all hidden. So to express ourselves, we can use emoticons, or rather we should be using emoticons in our messages, so that our feelings, these emoticons have been made in a manner, and they are also, like, the new ones also are introduced in this set. So these are in order to help people express their feelings. Maybe like there's a message, and you feel good about the message, and you just said a smiley. So that smiley in itself is conveying how you feel about it. So things like that. So the other person, when that other person sees a smiley, that person understands, okay, I sent out this message, and the feedback is that person smiled after reading my message. Okay, similarly, a laugh. So now if you say ha ha ha, okay, well, that's very nice. But then there are many different type of emoticons with different laughters, some with tears, some is like, blasting out into laughter, some is just like casual laugh and stuff like that. So, you're actually sharing your emotions. So it's a very good thing to use emoticons in your conversation. Then you must respect others' privacy, which is very important. Like many people, you might be part of several WhatsApp groups, emails, or Facebook groups, or even interacting with many people online. So what happens is like somebody is looking for some product or some service or some help, and without consulting your friend or the contact which you have in your store about, maybe that person can be a resourceful person for the people seeking resources online, and you, without the consent of your friend or of your contact person, you just give out their email addresses or their numbers, or even introduce them unnecessarily. So that might be bugging the other person, or it might be unpleasant or unwanted for the other person, your contact. And so it's a very bad thing. So please do not share your person the person, your contacts personal email IDs, numbers, or just unnecessarily trying to connect them. So you ask them, you take their permission that, okay, I came across so and so, so that person requires this help, so can I pass on your credentials or your number or your contact, or connect you with that person. That person says yes, then you go ahead. So please respect others privacy, it's very important. Because like once you will you know get deeper into internet, all these things count. So these connections, these links, they are all accounted in one person's credential, and the entire data that that person is carrying about him. So as I told you, that each one of us is in a way a clone on the digital platform. So I am known by my contacts, where all I dwell, who all are in touch. जैसे कहते हैं ना, संगति प्रभाव. So that is very important. So all these things should be kept in mind. Then remember, if it's on the internet, it's everywhere. So what I mean to say by this is, like, even if you share a picture, write down something, no matter how much you delete it, it's always going to be there forever and ever on the internet. So whenever you're posting any picture, any text, any video, or any content on the internet, please remember one thing, that this is going to be there eternally on the web. So you must keep in mind before posting anything, and be very sure that, okay, if I push out this content on the internet, I'm fine with it, right? So later on, no regrets, and everything is traceable, everything is trackable. I can pull out any information about anyone if once ever it has gone in the internet. So even when you are posting selfies, make sure you post selfies which are, like, you're okay with it. Because later on, if you try to delete it, you, no matter how much you delete it from wherever, it's going to be there forever. Even, like, the websites you surf, the content you go through, your choices, your taste, your whatever text messages you are sending out, everything is there on the internet. It's recorded, and it's going to remain there forever. So please be very careful with it. Then one more thing, don't get into harsh arguments, or try to escalate things if you are not comfortable with other person's opinion, or if you don't agree to certain things. Like, you don't outrightly go out and start fighting them on the net, use abusive words, or indulge into heat up arguments and start trolling and naming and shaming. Just forgive and forget. So maybe somebody wrote something, okay, fine, you just ignore it. If you don't like it, simply ignore it. So that's the best thing, right? So of course, many a times your ego might come in between, wherein you say, oh, how, what is this? I'm not going to take such insult, or I'm not going to take such nonsense from this person, and you also in return start hitting back. So you don't do that. You just, okay, simply, maybe it was not nice for you, just get over it, forgive and forget. So that's the best thing to do, right? So now, if I try to sum up these points, one very important thing is, only friend or follow people you know. This is very, very, very important. Like on your Facebook, Instagram, uh, LinkedIn is your entirely, professional profile. So just don't start befriending anyone. So a lot of people, come, and like there've been people telling me like, I have faced a lot of difficulties, a lot of nonsense coming. So things like that, why? So I had a discussion like what happened. So some people sent them some friend request, and they accepted it. And then what happened? Like those people were not fair people. So then, they started pestering, and they started sending unwanted mails and messages and stuff like that. So even if you go to LinkedIn, you will see connection one, connection two, connection three. So I would suggest, like, you start networking with the people whom you know, and then slowly and gradually connect with their networks. Like as I said, Sangati Prabhav is very important. Okay. So if you are in the company of good, obviously good is going to come to you. If you are in the company of bad, then you never know when, you know, misfortune might fall upon you. So try to avoid bad company, try to avoid the people whom you don't know, okay? And try to gain your connections, your network through the people whom you know. So, like maybe you are connected to me because I know, like, you're my students and I am your teacher, okay? So you connect to me. So now, obviously, I'm going to have handful of proper people in my network. So you can send them friend requests or connection requests, so they will know, okay, so these are some, people who are like connected to so and so, and he's their teacher, so they will accept your connection request. So likewise, so from one connection to another connection to third connection, fourth connection, that's how you grow your network. Don't randomly try to send connection requests or friend or follows to people whom you don't know, or else, like, you can go through their profile, go through it properly, and then judge accordingly whether you should actually be sending them connection requests or not. And similarly, if people, you don't know who sent you connection requests, don't accept their requests. So only try to accept requests from people whom you know are connected in your network. So this is one very important thing, because, like, if some wrong connections get into your network, then things can go wrong. So please keep that in mind. Share no personal information. Please do not ever share your bank details, your passport IDs, your Aadhaar, mobile numbers, and all in open forums or in, so many places. So unless and until you are actually into some e-commerce transaction which you think is safe, only then you are going to be putting your details or your personal information. Other than that, never ever, please keep it in mind, make it a point, never ever to share any personal information on any open forum, or even to unknown uh, people sending across uh, these type of messages wherein they want you to share your personal information. Like, many of people, I know that many people receive, in fact, I think that all of you must have received some mail at some point of time telling you that, okay, share your these bank details, this and that, you've won a lottery, or, you've won some prize or some bonus or this and that and stuff like that. So you, it's a like, I'm telling you, and you also make others aware that not to share any personal information ever with any unknown person or in any forum. Then think before you post. So, as I already told you, that please think twice, read what you have written, reread, and then you post. Then you make your post. Okay. Then read first and write later. So whenever you come across something wherein, there's wherein you want to reply. So read that properly, and then if you find that okay, it's worth replying, you reply. Unnecessarily don't try to just keep writing, on any post that you come across or in any forums. First you read, and then if you really think it's worthwhile writing back, replying to that particular post, then you write. Otherwise just skip it, forget. You don't need to answer all the posts, especially in the open forums like WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups or even Instagram, Twitter, and stuff. Then review, and then send. What I said is like once you type in any message, read it, reread it, and then send. And then always the internet of language. Uh, what I mean by this is like always be courteous and polite, right? Then consider the privacy of others, as we already discussed. Then no inappropriate material. Please do not share any inappropriate material, because as I told you, once anything goes into the internet, it also records a digital stamp, who sent it. So it's very very like even if you delete that post, somebody can retrieve it. There are a lot of tools for retrieving data, and that that code, that metadata will be there embedded in that particular post or the material, wherein the sender or the person who posted it, all those details can be retrieved. Don't click on ads or pop-ups. So like a lot of clickbaits are there, a lot of ads come and pop-ups come, wherein like a lot of hacking activities, a lot of different unwanted activities can be linked to those pop-ups and those clickable ads, which you should not click, right? And also I tell you, like there are all these apps and all, people download apps, and then they will also download certain content and stuff like that and keep it in their mobile phones. So please avoid all that. So unless and until you are sure about something, it is uh, in the Play Store, it is certified. So try to use all those certified and uh, like the proper clickable um, these links. Otherwise there are a lot of clickbaits also going around. Okay, you clickbaits are like, maybe somebody, they can be for e-commerce and stuff like that, that's fine, but then there are some dangerous links also at times. So always use a pop-up blocker in your browser, and do not click on unnecessary ads and different sort of pop-ups, right? Then in this the there are the two different segments of your internet behavior, which you must also know. That is, there's one for the society, and then there is one for the business, right? So for society, netiquettes are like recognizing that the internet is an extension of the society, as I told you, like when we are talking of social now. So social is okay, at before, like this internet had taken over the entire society. It was like, when we are talking of social, it's like basically socializing amongst people in real life. But now if you're talking of social, we means like our society is online, though it is offline also. But in colloquial terms, if you're talking social, means like online. So it includes the websites with forums, all the social media sites, and the entire gamut of activities that's going on the internet. So that is basically our society. So you must recognize that and behave accordingly, for your safety and for the safety of others. Now, applying the same standards online as we do in public, that is like in real life, the way you conduct yourself, you set your standards, you respect others. So the same stands for you behaving online also. refuse to, encourage any sort of abuse, bullying, harassments. Okay, you might come across a lot of this stuff. So either flag it, right, or do not in any case try to interact or be part of any such thing. Keep away from such things. It's very dangerous now because cyber law has actually become very strict. So you must always keep in mind that like in the internet you are being watched. If you are on the internet, you are being watched, believe me. So always keep that in mind. You cannot hide yourself, you cannot run away from anything. In real life, okay, maybe you can run away, go hide somewhere, but on the internet you can never do so, and all your credentials are in the records. Even nowadays you are geo tracked. I'll come to that. So, and then acknowledging cultural differences, respect. It's very important to respect, have respect for others in terms of being human beings. Okay, so that respect should be there. One can be from different religion, one can be from different culture, from different region, different countries. Respect them, okay, and acknowledge that. So this is for the society. Then for business, like there are these ethics, respecting the rights and privacy for offline employees. Okay, so like if you are into business and you are having some B2B, that is business to business activities or business to consumer activities which you indulge in, like maybe you're trying to sell products into e-commerce, or you're doing some connection or some sort of discussion, exchange of services through LinkedIn or any such platform. So try to respect the other employees who are connected, the consumers who are connected, right? So you maintain you develop and you maintain your credibility. So it's very important for you to understand and work upon your credibility. So that is very important. The more credible you are, the more internet scores you are getting. Think of things like that. Okay, so maintain a good score for yourself. Then maintain transparency in information and policies, right? Because like don't send across misleading or vague or confusing sort of statements online. Maintain one angle and stick to that. Okay, and maintain transparency, because it's very important for you to maintain transparency online, because if you are caught, then what happens is you lose all your credibility. Okay, and nowadays, like these reviews and all these things are very important, right? And then the third thing is online reputation management. If somebody is saying something wrong about you, maybe unhappy with your product or something, so you have to write to them. Don't try to delete messages or shy away from that, or try to repulse towards that. You have to nicely talk to them, convey your point, and then make them to write good reviews for you. So this is very important. Always, even if it's a Facebook post, so some wrong comment or something, you reason out with them, you tell them, and then convince them and make them to write a positive review. Do not ever delete, those negative reviews. You convince them to write positive reviews. So what happens is you build up your credibility that way. Then coming to these 5 C's of authenticity. So these 5 C's of authenticity, for authenticity is very important whenever you are online. So you talk in context always. So whenever you're online, whatever you are doing, your activities, your comments, your posts, everything should be in context. They should be credible, okay, backed by some evidence, some logic, some reasoning. Then construction should be proper, that your message is clear and loud. There's no confusion about it. Then you can use collaborations and citations, which will reinforce the credibility of your message, which is again very important. And then you can also put comparisons with maybe you are saying something and then other person has also made a point, and then you can sort of compare that to and express your viewpoint, that I'm not just beating about the bush or publishing wrong comments or something like that. So that is how you establish your credibility, authenticity. So these fake sort of content which is taking over, so this is the best way to combat such sort of disinformation, misinformation, malinformation, what we've been talking about since all these days, right? So these 5 C's for authenticity and credibility, just keep these point in mind and work accordingly on the digital platform. Then the most important thing is, after understanding all these things, why did I tell you about all these aspects, and why did I tell you these points? It is because you are creating your digital clone on the internet, as I said, right? And these your entire presence on the internet matters, and you are, as I told you, you are being watched, you are being tracked, and now there is this AI which is constantly retrieving your data, everything. The internet knows more about you than you yourself or your family or your parents, because it's collecting all the data. And so, you know to uh, publish or throw out wrong information, ill information, bad information, misinformation, disinformation, fake stuff, it's all going to hamper your credibility. And you don't want that, because things have just started. Down the line, maybe in 5 years or 10 years, this entire digital ecosystem is going to be so strong that you cannot do away with anything negative about yourself on this platform, right? So your social presence, which, as I told you, social presence, we mean by your presence on the digital platform in the internet. So it's a very strong presence, and you must try to build up your presence in a very positive manner. Okay, so your entire persona, personality, entire thing which is going to be there on the internet is so important that you should work on that. Like, you work on yourself to go and present yourself for an interview, or wherever, even in your family or in your business or where you're working. So you present yourself nicely, okay? You wear proper dress, you talk nicely, your presentation, you're pleasant, you don't behave rude. Okay, so all these things, the way you talk, the way you behave, your mannerisms, everything counts. So that builds up your personality, and everyone wants a good personality. When you can post nice selfies on Instagram and Facebook, or whichever, put up nice selfies on status, why do you do it? To make yourself look good, okay, pleasant, presentable. So that same thing, that your entire behavior should be accordingly on the digital platform. Make a very good profile, tell compelling and powerful stories about yourself, what you think of. Okay, no negativities, positive aspects. Okay, so because once, when somebody, or even the AI is going to analyze things accordingly, even your connections, you build up good connections on the internet, not just connecting with any Tom, Dick, Harry, and going in for any nonsense stuff. So avoid all that. Make good connections, build up your profile, project yourself in a positive manner, and project yourself into the profession, or the things that you believe in, or all the positive aspects of your personality. So build your profile accordingly, and then maintain your reputation. How? You talk nicely, you interact nicely, the messages that you send out, okay, the replies that you give, feedback, entire thing. Okay, so all this is going to create a reputation for yourself, and then add value. So your posts, or maybe what you're thinking of, it's going to add positive value to the people who read it or who come across it. Like, even if you're doing a food blogging, okay, do a food blog, but create content in such a manner that it's adding value to some people, maybe a section of the society, maybe lot many people, maybe a group, maybe you are going to add value and bring positive change and difference to people's life. So that is very important, and all these things, they are going to account to your credibility of your status online. So please keep that in mind, and behave and conduct yourself accordingly on the internet. Now coming to big data, so I've been talking to you about building your credibility, this, that, and all those things. Why? There's something called as big data. Whenever we are online, any activity that we are doing, all our data is being collected online, right? Even like we are now on our smartphones, there is this GPS and everything enabled. It's also tracking our movements, where we are going, then with whom we are coming in contact with. All these things are being tracked. Even like if you are wearing those Fitbit smart watches, what's it doing? It's you know measuring your heartbeat, measuring your pulse rate, measuring your body temperature, the calories you burn, and everything. And it's all geosensitive also, and there's a gyroscope also, and everything, like it's measuring altitude, and the entire whole tons and tons of data is being transferred. And especially when you're downloading any app, by default, there's that huge long note written about agreement and user rights and all those things which nobody reads. So it's like by default, if you want to download that app, you have to accept all those terms and conditions. So in those terms and conditions, lot of your data is being collected. So big data is all about that, and it is used for many purposes. So we have the three V's of big data. That is like volume, unprecedented scale of huge amount of data sets are being collected from each one of us. So either you totally stop using any and every digital device, or else you must adhere to those basic things which you must keep in mind, like all that we've been discussing. So these are some of the very important rules to keep in mind. Then velocity, high speed, that unprecedented data at which unprecedented speed at which data are being produced and collected is also large. Because like no matter if you keep your the entire Wi-Fi or internet off of your mobile, as soon as you switch it on, some 200 MB of data instantly goes, it gets uploaded on the internet. So that is what I know of. It can be more also, but these are some of the phenomenon. So your mobile collects the entire data, and as soon as it comes online, all that data is transferred in the internet. Then variety, you have loads and different type of varieties. You have in images, you have in video, you have in text, you have in movement, and tons of different sorts of metadata, right? So now what happens is the AI is also becoming very smart. So it's basically analyzing the entire personality of a person. Okay. So as I told you, now you have your entire digital impression, your digital stamp online. So, and on the basis of that, there are many things which are interpreted and analyzed and things like that. So some of the major projects, I'm not delving too deep into it, because this is some deep science you will have to study. Just an overview so that you understand and you know how to conduct yourself, just touching these points as part of uh, discussing netiquettes, right? So some of the major projects like Aadhaar, you have Aadhaar. So once you are linked to Aadhaar, what happens is you have registered yourself, and then now all the data that is collected is connected to your Aadhaar by default. Similarly, in China, you have the social credit system, wherein all this big data is used to analyze how the person is, the person's behavior, and accordingly, that person is granted a status. So it was supposed to start from 2020. They were supposed to implement this, right? So in this, what happens is like you have a credit score. Okay, people in China will have a credit score as per the type of friends they have, where all they roam around, their activities, their online transactions, their e-commerce, and likewise as per the credit, they will be allotted, the neighborhood where they are supposed to live, their children are supposed to, where all their children can supposed to go for schooling. All schools are not meant for everyone, so it will be as per the score. And then travel, which all convince they can use, and what all timings, and the different sections and things like that, and so many things. So everything is going to be governed by this, their digital credit score. So so the aim is to judge the trustworthiness of the person. So the more trustworthy, the more credible a person is, the higher would be his digital score, and thus his entire social status, his status in the entire society. So likewise, he will be granted status, credibility, everything. So like these are some two examples I can tell you wherein big data is used. And now they have come up with this uh, what is this, in COVID, also they have come up with this app, Ayog Setu app. So that is also like, collecting lots of information, like whom you have come in contact with, who has traveled abroad, and who is actually who has suffered from this infection and things like this. So a lot of that data is collected through that also. So things like that. So these are all like certain things which fall under big data, and uh, as per the data, as per the metadata, as per all the analytics of this data, certain things are inferred. So things like that. So it can be used by government, it can be used by the private companies like e-commerce. Also nowadays you have something called as eavesdropping, wherein like maybe you're talking of some white fur jacket, and the next moment you open your uh, say for example, you open your Amazon or something, and you start seeing ads. So things are becoming very smart. AI is becoming very smart. The digital this entire paradigm is, it's like it's getting integrated into the humanity. So likewise we also must behave and learn to conduct ourselves, right? Keeping all the safety measures for us, for the people whom we interact with, for the people who we know, and the entire society. Then I would like to touch upon, Information Technology Act of India, which is very important for you to know, because the entire cyber law and the rules and regulations in the cyberspace in India is being governed by this particular act, which came out in the year 2000, and then it was also modified in the subsequent years. So this is to prevent, cybercrime, and it's in the entire technology sphere. So you should know this term, and you should know this act also, about this act, Information Technology Act. So I'm going to be just touching about a few points. So Information Technology Act, they have these sections and offenses and penalty. So this is very important for you as students to have an overview of that. You might not make mistakes, or you can also help others not make mistakes, or if somebody is actually doing some nefarious activities online, so you can flag them, right? So we have the section 65, which talks about tampering with computer source documents. So you can see that there's imprisonment up to 3 years or fine up to 2 lakh rupees. Then you have section 66, which is hacking with computer system. Again, imprisonment up to 3 years or fine up to 5 lakhs. Then 66A, wherein you have publishing offensive, false, or threatening information, imprisonment up to 3 years, again with fine. Then 66B, receiving stolen computer or communication devices. So please, if somebody is trying to sell you some laptop, cheap laptop or cheap mobile phones, please do not buy it. So The implications can be imprisonment up to 3 years, or again fine up to 1 lakh rupees. Then using password of another person. So this is again dangerous. So never use other people's password or try to hack into other people's password. So if somebody tries to make a complaint, or if you come across somebody who's trying to do this thing, so you can flag and help them. So the penalty goes like imprisonment up to 3 years and again fine up to 1 lakh rupees. Then cheating using computer resources, again 3 years imprisonment or fine up to 1 lakh. Publishing private images of others, imprisonment up to 3 years or fine up to 2 lakhs. Act of cyber terrorism, this is imprisonment for life. Okay, so then you have publishing information which is obscene in electronic form, imprisonment up to 5 years or fine up to 10 lakh rupees. Then publishing images containing sexual acts, imprisonment up to 7 years or fine up to 10 lakh rupees again. Then publishing child porn stuff, wherein children are, their image is hampered. Imprisonment up to 5 years with a fine up to 10 lakh rupees and stuff like that. So failure to maintain records, imprisonment up to 3 years with a fine. Then failure, refusal to comply with orders, imprisonment up to 2 years, fine. So these are like if there are cyber, compliances wherein you have to deal with that. So you have to address that. You cannot just sit idle and just overlook it. Like then, like many a times, like there are defaulters for credit card payments and stuff like that, and they overlook it and keep overlooking it. So then there can be implications. Then failure, refusal to decrypt data, because like many encrypted data is like one-to-one, but then if there are cyber security issues or cyber complaints, then obviously you have to produce that data, show that data. Okay. Securing access or tampering to secure access to a protected system. You try to hack into something, 10 years with a fine. Okay. Misrepresentation of facts, again imprisonment up to 2 years or fine up to 1 lakh rupees. So these are some of the broad areas and section wherein these offenses and the penalty for it. So you can get an overview of it. So as I told you, internet may seem to be very fancy, attractive, and people may think that okay, we can do anything on internet, but it's not the case, right? So you have to be very careful with it. It's a very good tool, but then you have to handle it with care and also conduct yourself accordingly so that you do not fall into any sort of unwanted problem, and at the same time maintain a good credit score for yourself, internet credit score. Okay, your credibility online. Then Information Technology Act 2002 provide legal recognition for all e-transactions, to give legal recognitions to digital signatures as a valid signature to accept agreements and all, because now we have all digital signatures. Even when you are filing your ITR return, there are these digital signatures. And many places, I understand that many of you are from class 11 and class 12, but I think you should be introduced to these particular details. Then to give legal recognition to keeping accounting books in electronic form by bankers as well as other organizations, because maybe many of you are holding bank accounts, you must know this. Protection of online privacy and stopping cybercrime. So for all these purposes, Information Technology Act of India comes into play. The prime focus of cyber law in India is to prevent computer crime, forgery of electronic data and record in e-commerce and electronic transactions. Then strong cyber law was needed to address cyber crimes, electronic and digital signatures, intellectual property, data protection, and privacy. Then you have the different type of cyber crimes like identity theft, cyber terrorism, cyberbullying, hacking, defamation, copyright, trade secret, freedom of speech, harassment, and stalking. So all these things are there. I'm not dwelling too deep into it, just to give you an overview. So if you're interested, maybe you can get in touch with me for further details, or you can go online, Google it, and find it out for yourself. How to prevent cybercrime? Avoid unsolicited text messages. Do not send wrong or messages, unwanted messages, uh, unpleasant messages. Downloads on mobile phones should be avoided unnecessarily. Do not download apps and all. Then rating and feedbacks, again, very important for you to understand. Whenever you are rating or giving feedback, make sure that is legitimate. Don't try to give false ratings. अच्छा ये तो अपना दोस्त का कुछ दे दिया, and then later on when customers go and actually people for services or whatever go to those pages or site or wherever, and they see that, oh, this is hopeless, तो ऐसा नहीं करना है. Okay, so make sure that whenever you're giving rating and feedback, it is correct, true. Then also about your personal information and requests, do not, as I told you, do not share your personal information and requests ever unless and until you see that, okay, this is the right place for me to share. Maybe like if you're doing some e-commerce transaction or something, then of course you need to fill in your details and get the transaction done. So these are some of the important aspects, and if you are actually aware of all these things, so you can actually prevent a lot of cybercrime. It's, see, there are two aspects. One is how you conduct yourself to prevent cybercrime, and then how you precautions that you take. So both ways, like precautions will also reduce cybercrime, and the way you conduct yourself will also reduce cybercrime, because now things are going to become, these rules and regulations are going to become more stringent. So falling into unnecessarily or unwanted trouble should be avoided. So better to conduct yourself properly. So everything goes good and nice and happy for you and for everyone. Then one more thing I would like to dwell into is intellectual property rights and how it can be protected. Like many of you, many people, they just simply go to Google Images and start using pictures and all, or logos, symbol, taglines, slogans. So all these things, you must understand, like these are some intellectual property that's been created by somebody else. So either you take permission. So on Google, if you are using Google products and all, so there is entirely, you can write to Google and take their permission. Or if it is other people's property, either you can write to them and take permission, or please don't use it. So you must understand and you must honor that this is somebody else's property and you are not supposed to use it. अभी जैसे किसी और का गाड़ी खड़ा है, किसी और की bike खड़ी है, you will not outrightly go and start using it, right? Either you will take permission to use it or you will not use it at all, because that's some other person's property. So similarly, when you are online also, you must understand this. And if at all you want to use it, then either you take permission or you search for Creative Commons, or wherein there are these rights are already there. If you Google, you will see that it's open, like it's free to use. So if you are using those free to use, be it music, be it images or any content, or if it's falling under Creative Commons, then you can use it, no problem. But otherwise, if it is all anything copyrighted, anything belonging to some other person, please don't use it, or maybe some website or anything. Or else, you, like when you are using user generated content later on, if you are getting into digital marketing and all, you will also study something. There's something called as user generated content, wherein users have already used it. So like it's something like if you repost something on your Facebook or Instagram, okay, or Twitter. So what happens is somebody has written that, somebody has made that, some picture or something, and you are reposting it, okay. So that is like you are using user generated content, wherein you are giving credit also to that person. You are acknowledging that person. You are giving citation to that particular content which you are using. So then it is okay, because you are telling people that this is not my original content, it is this person's, and I am using it, and you can add to that and use it. Okay, so you have to give credit, you have to acknowledge if you are using user generated content. So this is just an overview of things which I am telling you. Just try to take it as an overview. Don't panic or think that this is too much or things like that. This is just to safeguard you, to safeguard your actions on the digital platform. So there is something as India's privacy law also, which is this Information Technology Act. Now coming to privacy, all these things, lot of things fall into privacy also. Okay, so like your privacy is also important, and also the privacy of others. So don't try to intrude into others' privacy, and your privacy also don't try to open it and just openly go ahead. Okay, I don't care about my privacy. Use all my data. It's not like that. Okay, you don't know how your data can be used, and if it's in the internet, anybody can retrieve it. So be careful about your privacy, and also be careful about others' privacy. All the sensitive content, personal content, try not to reveal it on the internet. You should be very careful with it. It's not the question of trying, but you should be very careful with it. Okay, and also about the consent. So having said that, always be very careful with your privacy and others' privacy. Just keep that in mind. And also all these gadgets and digital stuff that you're using, be careful with that. First you understand how that piece of equipment, that piece of gizmo is actually working, and then you better try to use it. Because see, it's a market, it's an open place. People might just make anything and try to come out and sell it. So you must actually know what you're buying. So pay attention to all these gizmos and digital stuff that you buy. What exactly is happening? How is it retrieving data? And what all can happen with that data? So be very careful with that. Even if you're buying a mobile phone, so or downloading apps, or buying these Fitbits, so you must understand how your data is being collected and how it can be used, and then take a wise decision whether to go in for that product or not, whether to download that app or not, and things like that. So be careful with your private information, your private data, and others also. Now there are many people, so they are called as privacy pragmatists, who are willing to give up their privacy for enjoying the benefit and convenience that technology offers. Technology is very luring, very attractive, and very impressive, very interesting, and intriguing. So people do indulge into technology, and what technology has to offer. It is very compelling. I mean, it's going to attract you and compel you to use it, but then you have to be very careful with it. But there are many people who compromise their privacy, their personal data, just to use those apps, those devices. So you have to be careful with that. You have to decide things for yourself, and you have to conduct yourself properly. Your data is very valuable. The way you behave is very important. The way you conduct yourself with your connections, with your network, within your network, outside your network, on the digital platform is very, very important. So there's something as Personal Data Protection Bill, which has come up now, which is known as PDPB. Still, it's being worked upon. It's not yet an act. It has not yet been passed. So with this, with this note, I would end my discussion on the netiquettes. Thank you all very much. I hope you understood, you tried to, understand things, and you would behave accordingly and be good netizens. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we have few questions. There's one question from Avnish Chabra. He's saying, as we know, Facebook recently bought Instagram and WhatsApp. They are regularly adding more updates to the application to make the experience more user-friendly. It seems that if their focus is now on functions rather than privacy, what all can the companies do to make sure that their social applications are secure from cyber threats and hackers?
See, now the thing here is like there's a lot of competition, which is, these companies are also out there to make money to do business, right? So this TikTok, as you know, TikTok became unpopular. Instagram came up with this Reels, which was like substituting uh, the features of TikTok. So now these companies are there to do business and to popularize things, and there's a lot going behind the curtain in the digital sphere. So it is very difficult for us to ascertain the true picture, to make out how the actualities, to understand the actualities. So of course there is a lot of data mining also going on. So this is a different subject altogether, which can be pondered upon and taken forward in another discussion, since we are paucity of time, I think, at the moment. So that is what I would want to say.
Okay, so we have a millennial question here. So there's Sunena who's asking, when we are typing an official message, at that time we can't use emoticons. Then what should we do to express our feelings or way of speaking correctly?
See, the communication pattern of communication is also changing. So you have a formal communication and you have informal communication, and then you have something which is in between, right? So what is happening is like when you're into like absolute corporate communication, so there's a protocol that you need to follow in your communication pattern. But then nowadays, like you will see a lot of you have, and then there's this informal way of communicating, like wherein you communicate with your friends, you communicate within your peer group and things like that. And similarly, like you have the middle path, like a lot of education at the moment is going online. So like I am a teacher and you are my students, so you must understand how to conduct yourself in the digital classroom. So you cannot just, there are a few a little bit of decorum that is to be maintained. Maybe you can be somewhere between absolute formal and informal in the class group, and put across questions, or answer, or also respond to the group communication that's going on. But then you have to maintain a decorum. You cannot be absolutely personal and start shooting out endless emoticons, or making random comments. So that little bit of formal method has to be adopted. So these are like, it's still, things are in the transition phase. So best is like, you are your best judge. You must know how to maintain your communication, wherein to be absolutely formal, wherein to be informal or casual, and wherein to adopt a middle path. Because in the end, it's your behavior which is going to impress people. So maintain your communication pattern that way. But of course, in corporate communication, in the corporate structure, you're advised to go in with formal structure of communication. But then if it is advertising or promotion of certain things, of course you can go a little informal and add emoticons and all also, and go about things that way.
Okay. Another question we have from Arnav Mehta, and he's asking, in a country like India, how can these rules and regulations be made available on a large scale? Let us assume that if it is delivered, do you believe people will follow them religiously?
Yeah, of course. If you go on the internet, it's all there. And as I try to make you aware with the different act, the IT Act is there. So you can all go through that IT Act, and slowly, and of course, why are we hosting this, the entire media literacy? We are trying to make you aware. So slowly and gradually, things are catching up. Internet is also infiltrating deep into our society, as with the gadgets, as with the content which is being pushed out. So things are happening because India has a very large population and very it's got different strata, like some people are tech savvy, some people are not. So slowly and gradually things are happening. People are being made aware of certain things, and it's happening. So the best is like, okay, we are in fact imparting you this entire media literacy course. And similarly, once you finish attending this course, you can tell your other friends and your peer group who have not attended this course to again join in for the new session which will start. And you are as individuals are also learning from this, so you pass on your knowledge to others. So this is how things are going to spread, right?
Yes, Asha ma'am, over to you.
Actually, there is a question in my chat box by Samriddhi Shukla. So let me read it out for Mr. Ghosh. She is asking a question related to emoticons. Originally, we used to see that many people criticize the use of emoticons as they said it disrupted the growth of proper verbal and written speech. What caused this drastic shift of opinion?
Well, you can say that in a way they were of old school of thought. So gradually these things are catching up. People are understanding the use of all these new I would say tools of communication, wherein you can express your feeling through just one little symbol which is there, those emoticons. So things are catching up. And things are in the transition phase. So there are some people with old school of thought who might not approve and feel that this is being too informal and things like that. But slowly and gradually, as now people are using it, they are getting used to it, and their comfort level is also increasing. So things are changing, things are in transition. All these things have been created with a purpose. There has been a lot of research behind it, lot of study, and thus these things are coming into play now. So and of course the upcoming generation are the ones who are going to be using it maximum and decide upon it.
Asha ma'am, any final comments?
Yeah, actually, this was a very important point. Things are rapidly changing. So regulations, laws related to digital world will perhaps will become more strengthened, and the entire digital ecology will become more stringent is an important takeaway from Mr. Ghosh's presentation. I think all of us have personally benefited from it, whether we are students or we are adult people, because we are unaware, because things are changing so fast that we are unable to catch up very fast, or our pace is not as fast as the pace of technology. So I would say that this is really, really an important session, and we would require to repeat it again and again so that it will start sinking in after so many sessions. It is so vast and it is so important and so much detailed that sinking in would require many more engagements. So I would really hope that there will be many more sessions, and I really thank Mr. Ghosh for such an enriching and important session.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks a lot.
Amrisa, final comments. Sir, please unmute कीजिए sir.
Yeah, so as Dr. Asha Singh already said that we all were learning from his lecture. It was so enlightening, and he touched upon almost all possible aspects, right from in media language, if I say the legal aspect, the ethical aspect, because the all etiquettes and other things, they were part of the ethics, and then he also talked about the Information Technology Act. And this is actually the case that it's not easy to understand all these laws, and particularly for the youngsters who are still in their 11th or the 12th standard, to grasp as to what all is there in the law. Not easy, but then at the same time, since we all are using digital media, irrespective of the age, and this COVID-19 has brought a situation that even the tiny tots, they are using the digital media for their studies and all. So if this is the case, that anybody who is 4 or 5 years of age has to use digital media, and in such a case, you must know how to use it. How to use it, not only the skill wise, but the ethics wise also, what is to be done, what is not to be done on the digital media, and law wise, because if you are violating any such provisions which are there, either in the Information Technology Act, or even there are certain things which are there in the Indian Penal Code, and whenever somebody is trapped under any violation, and not just the violation of the IT Act is happening, there are certain provisions of IPC, like if I talk about from 294 to 296 sections, they instantly apply that whenever you are indulging into any obscene thing or any immoral thing. So, and then there are so many other acts also, which I will be talking about tomorrow, wherein the defamation law is there, or the copyright is there, or the contempt of court is there. So obviously, in the first go, it may look like that it's too difficult to know all the laws. So even if you are not going deep into those laws, at least you must understand the basics. At least all those things which are necessary for you as far as the functional aspect of the computer and the internet is concerned. So I thank Ritik Ghosh for making such a nice presentation to the benefit of the students, as well as to all of us who were there in this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, Ritik sir. The session has been enriching and informative, as was expected from you. Students, I would like to tell you that he's a maverick when it comes to digital media, and you are learning from the best. It is Ritik sir who has helped many of us in DMA Media School to adapt and adopt the digital mode of education. The seminar was extremely important today, since most of us are spending time on social media. It is important to be aware of netiquette. How you portray yourself on social media will have an impact on your real life. The lines between virtual life and real is blurring, so be cautious while using social media. As informed, a media literacy session will be culminating on 28th October 2020, Wednesday. And we will be sharing with you a Google form for evaluation. The evaluation will continue till 29th October 2020, 6 p.m. And we will be organizing valedictory ceremony on 31st October 2020. I would like to thank Dr. Asha for her constant contribution and coordination for this course, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary and Dr. Amrish Saxena for their constant guidance. The next lecture, as informed by Dr. Amrish Saxena, will take place on Tuesday, 27th October 2020, tomorrow. The purpose of this event is to make you media smart, but also a responsible citizen. Tomorrow, we will learn about the important concepts of freedom of speech and expression, copyright, defamation, and contempt of court. The session will be moderated by Dr. Amrish Saxena, Dean, DMA Media School. You are lucky to be learning these concepts from the best. So do tune in tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Thank you and see you tomorrow.